Hi guys, it's Adriana from Adriana's Paper Crafts. Today I'm just going to really just go over everything that has to do with chip bags from beginning to end, except for how to assemble them, just because I already have a YouTube video up. So I will make sure to pop that up at the end of this video. That way you can just automatically go to that. But I have been getting a lot of questions just regarding like the kind of paper to use, what tools do I need, just how do I do it. So I'm going to just hopefully kind of go over everything quickly, but answer all of your questions. So first things first, of course, is paper. Basically, what kind of paper do you need to use? Now you have a couple of options. For example, these chip bags that I have here are made of my glossy paper, or you know, when I sell them I offer them in a matte finish and a glossy finish. Yeah, there you go, you can kind of see right there that it's glossy, whereas this option is matte. There's no gloss to it. So it really depends on your preference and what look you're going for. Now, if you want something affordable, you're going to want to go with a matte option. Gloss paper is more expensive, so again, that's why you'll see people selling those for much more. The paper that I normally use for my chip bags and the paper that I 100% would recommend above all else, I actually don't have any of that on me. I had decided to try another paper because I had read such great reviews on it, and then it turns out that I hated the paper. But the paper was expensive and I had 500 sheets, and so I wanted to use all of that before I went back to my normal affordable paper. So currently I am using this HP paper that I got from Office Depot. I can't really remember how much it was, but it was not a good price. It was more than my other paper. This was probably like almost $20 for a pack of 500. And the thing with paper, if you're gonna get serious in all of this, you're gonna have to start paying attention to the weight of the paper as well as the brightness of the paper. So all paper packages will list on the front what weight they are and how bright they are. So like on a scale of 0 to 100, 100 being the brightest. And when it comes to your chip bags, if you want your matte design to really pop off the page, you want it to be bright. So this one, I got it because the brightness was 100. I mean, that's the highest you can have, and again, it had great reviews, so I got it. The weight on this one is 24, and it came with 500 sheets. If you want to get this, you can, but I really don't recommend it because, again, there's a better option that you can get for much cheaper. And again, I don't have a picture of that option, but I do have the name of it. Just go to Walmart, you can go to the website, or you can walk into the store, go into their paper aisle where they have all the printer paper. It's the Georgia Pacific Super Premium Bright Paper. So all of their paper packages come in different colors to kind of, you know, explain, I guess, how different they are. So this pack is going to be the purple one. It is $8.72, so less than $10 for 300 sheets. Again, the one I have next to me, the HP one that I got from Office Depot, was 500 sheets, but it was almost $20. I think it was like 17 something. So, but again, it's the purple pack at Walmart, Georgia Pacific Super Premium Bright Paper. Now, the reason I like that is because the brightness is 97, close to 100. And I'm telling you, when I first got this, I compared it to the Walmart one. The brightness, there's like no difference. No difference. So again, the brightness is 97, but the weight on it is 28 pounds, whereas this one is 24 pounds. And again, if you're going to get serious into doing these kinds of wrappers and chip bags and all that stuff, you're going to have to start paying attention to the brightness and the weight and, you know, all that stuff. So just grab the purple pack from Walmart. It's less than $10 and you're good to go. And that's for your matte options. For your glossy options, you're going to have to shell out a bit more. I personally right now am using the HP brochure paper from Office Depot. This pack comes with 150 sheets. It's double-sided, which means you can, I mean, it's glossy on both sides, so it doesn't matter how you put it into your printer. It is 48 pounds, which means it's a little bit thicker than regular computer paper. And I don't think this really has like a brightness level. It just tells you that it is glossy. I do believe there's like a semi-gloss or super gloss or something like that. This just literally says glossy on here. I do like it, but the weight on it, like I said, it's 48 pounds. I actually think next time I'm going to try for something a little less heavy, just so that it's a little more flexible. And you'll notice if you go to make your own chip bags with this type of paper, I mean, it's doable, but it's much more rigid. Again, it's doable, but I don't know. I just want to see if there's something more flexible out there. So it's not as flexible as your regular computer paper that you would use for matte chip bags. So anyways, that's called a brochure paper. Now, I do want to real quick talk to you about what papers to not use, okay? Do not use cardstock. Cardstock is paper that you would have to go to the craft store for. They do actually sell craft paper, cardstock at Walmart. It is a yellow pack and it says on the front, cardstock. Do not use that. That is too heavy for you to be making any kind of like wrappers or anything like that with. I do not use cardstock for my wrappers or for my chip bags. And that's because, again, they're so heavy, you really can't do much with them. You would not, I mean, they would just not be flexible enough for you to work with. It would look horrendous. So do not use cardstock. Also, do not use the computer paper from Dollar Tree. It is cheap for a reason, okay? The brightness level is very low, so it looks just really dark. And also it's very thin paper, so it's very see-through. I have seen this on Instagram and on Facebook where people use that paper and you can see through it. It's ridiculous. It looks horrendous. Trust me, just don't do it. I know it's very cheap, but don't do it. Also, the photo paper from Dollar Tree, do not use that. Again, the brightness level is very low, and then it's also, it smears. The ink smears very bad. So whatever you go with, you want to make sure that your ink is not going to smear afterwards. For certain labels that I know kids are going to have their hands on a lot, such as silly string labels or my bubble wrappers, I use matte paper just because it definitely is not going to have any ink smearing. Glossy paper, if you're getting a good, reliable kind, it's not going to have any ink transfer either. But again, with kids, like, they're really rough, and so I just prefer to make sure to always use matte just to really prevent any kind of ink transfer. So those are your options for paper. And again, it needs to be 8.5 by 11 for the most part. Next, we'll go over what programs to use, or what programs you're going to need to make chip bags. You will need access to either Microsoft Word. You could use PicMonkey.com. It's a free website. Is it Canvas, I believe, or something like that. You could use Photoshop. A lot of people use Publisher. So those are a lot of different options. Obviously, some are going to be free. Some are free with trial. And I personally use Photoshop. However, for the most part, I always use PicMonkey.com. I do pay for their subscription so that when I design something, I can save that design automatically and go back to it later. Before I paid for it, I could not do that. So the second that I finished, if I wanted to like edit it, I would have to start from scratch all over again. So it's up to you what program you want to use. Again, personally, right now, I only use Photoshop for my chip bags. But a lot of people use Microsoft Word or Microsoft Publisher. I can't stand Word. I never, ever use it just because it really doesn't give you a lot of like freedom to move shapes and images around, but it's up to you. If that's all you know, then that's what you can start off with. And I'm sure that there are video tutorials on how to make a design with Microsoft Word or Publisher. With PicMonkey, they already offer on the sidebar, they'll offer tons of like little clip art, cute little like, you know, things like that. They'll have patterns, they'll have fonts for you. And so again, that gives you a lot of leeway. With Photoshop, you have to do everything yourself, and of course it's a lot more complicated and you have to pay for it, but it gives me the most freedom with a lot more accuracy because I can see every tiny detail of my image. So that's what programs that you can use to do this. Now the tools that you're going to need to make a chip bag. Your basic ones, of course, your computer or a laptop. I do not recommend using your phone to make a chip bag design. You'll need a printer. As far as what kind of printer, I get that question a lot too. Whatever printer you have, trust me. As long as you learn how to play around with your settings and you have good paper and you're using like the recommended ink, you should be fine. You can even go to the library or go to Office Depot to print off your designs as long as there are no licensed characters on your chip bags. You will need, this is optional by the way, you will need scissors or a paper trimmer. So a paper trimmer looks like this. Well, they actually look a little different, but still, because mine is like a rotary one, so it's round. But this is a paper trimmer. But you don't have to have that. You can also just use scissors. And the reason I say that that's optional, you will see in my chip bag assembly photo. So, of course, paper, which we already discussed. You will definitely need some kind of glue. I personally recommend hot glue, but if you don't want to work with hot glue, which is understandable, you can use these adhesive strips. They are double-sided adhesive. You can get them at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Joann's. They come in different widths. Some are a lot smaller than this. And they're pretty affordable. Well, actually not at Michael's, they're not affordable, but at Hobby Lobby they are. And I use these for my chip bags that I'm shipping out. I put a strip at the top so that when my customer receives the chip bags, all they have to do is put their chips inside, take off the top strip, and then seal. So that way they don't need anything besides their chips, of course. But yeah, some kind of glue. And then a paper crimper is also optional. A paper crimper is going to look something like this. This one is just your normal one with the regular straight lines, but there are some that have like patterns, little like maybe hexagons or whatever, you know. But I use this. I didn't used to have this. You can make chip bags without them. This just puts cute little details on them. So you can also listen more about this on my assembly chip bag video. But by the way, if you're going to, you know, go for the glossy paper, paper crimpers, they work on glossy paper, but it doesn't show up as much. It shows up a lot on your normal matte paper. So like the top of this, you can see those lines. Oh, it looks so cute. This is my Paw Patrol one. I opened the bottom, so. But on my glossy one, you can barely see it. You can see like a line right there. But yeah, I don't know. Also, as far as scissors go and adding cute little details on your chip bags, I just yesterday went and I got me one of these funky little scissors. I used to have a whole set, but I sold them years ago. This was on sale at Hobby Lobby for like $1, so I grabbed it. And that's because I wanted to start adding the cute little zigzag patterns at the tops and bottoms of my bags and other treats. So yeah, but again, you don't have to do that, especially in the beginning. Just focus on like the main part, making sure that your design is good. As far as the measurements and the template of the chip bag, I have actually just uploaded a free file of a template that I created myself. You can find it on my Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search Adriana's Paper Crafts group. I didn't know what else to name it. So yeah, and I went ahead and uploaded it as a file. So you can find it there. But if you don't have a Facebook, go ahead and comment down below and give me your email address and I can email it to you. The reason I made it is because the templates that I had found through Google were off. And I mean, I've always made them work, but I don't want to have to make you do any extra work, especially if you're just kind of in the beginning of all of this. So again, just go ahead and go for that template. It should automatically open up as 8.5 by 11. And I wrote on there, like, you know, what's what. So next is the design itself. I'm very, very hesitant on making an actual video tutorial on the design of a chip bag itself. And the reason for that is because there's a lot that goes into it. And I've watched other videos on their, on somebody creating one. And I don't know, it just kind of puts me off. Sometimes it makes me feel really intimidated. Or sometimes I'm just like, what are you doing? I don't know. So I guess as far as the design goes, that's completely up to you. You cannot go and copy someone else's design because that's not okay. That's not okay. You can get inspiration from someone else's design, which is how, of course, I normally go about things. I might find like 6 different things I love and then combine them all together. But yeah, the design itself, you are going to have to come up with that. You have to use your imagination. However, I can give you a couple of tips and techniques on where to find stuff. Of course, Google Images is the #1 place that everybody goes to find patterns, images, and all that stuff. You can also go to Etsy.com and you can shop for clip art. But again, make sure that you can't just get it for free on Google, because there are some people who sell things that they just found for free on Google and they're making money off of it and it's not even theirs. It's a whole world. But yeah, so like as far as patterns and images and clip art and all that stuff, just try Google first and then try Etsy. Also start downloading really cool fonts. Most of them out there are free and you just install them onto your computer or your laptop. That way you can use them on your chip bag designs later. Also another tip, when you are designing a chip bag, I do not recommend using an all white background and only a few images here or there. I have seen some people where the entire bag is white and then they'll throw like a picture of like Cookie Monster like this big right here and then some words like right here. And then in the back, they'll go and they'll do the nutrition label and it'll take up the entire spot. Do better. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely know like people are learning and all that stuff, but you have to really push yourself. I really do think that all of us party decor makers, we need to kind of set a standard. And so, if you're doing it for free, of course, not going to judge, but definitely, don't do an all white background. It looks like paper at that point. Also, another thing, I haven't done this on my chip bags, but I do it on my Capri Sun labels, is feel free to use the logo of the flavor that you're using. For example, if you know that you're gonna be putting Lay's in here, like the yellow chips, put the logo on here. That way you can know that this one is all Lay's, maybe this one is all Doritos, things like that, Also another tip, metallic colors do not show well on matte paper, but they do show up on glossy. So it's little things that you're going to find out the hard way. These are just random tips that came up at the top of my mind when I was thinking about making this video. But yeah, let me see. Oh, by the way, your chip bags are not grease resistant, but how some people make them grease resistant is after they assemble it, they put in a Ziploc bag. Some actually glue the Ziploc bag inside. Some just stick it in there. I personally never recommend opening your chips and then pouring them in there, because I did that once. I did it right before the party, but the snacks were still stale. So I just don't recommend that. I literally recommend just sticking the entire mini bag of chips in there, and yeah, it's fine. Oh, by the way, this is a really huge pet peeve of mine that I see, but when it comes to designing your chip bag, like, let's say you're gonna grab an image of, let's say you're gonna get this guy, I don't know what his name is, but let's say you're, gonna go ahead and insert a picture of him, but you want to make him bigger. Do not stretch him out. Just enlarge it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but what I mean is that I see so many new people, they'll stretch it, meaning he looks warped. He will look completely warped and misshapen instead of just enlarging him. So instead of like making it a proportionate size, it just looks a mess. Don't do it. If you need help, like, you can message me and I will help you. I have been working with graphic design and web design and all that for over 10 years. Not continuously, but enough to where like I can do this and not have a problem whatsoever. So if you need any help, let me know. Next will be your proper printing technique. You are going to have to print out multiple like example pages for yourself with your printer. What I mean by that is that after messing with the settings, you're going to find out what looks best with your printer. For example, on my HP Envy printer, I personally, for my matte papers, I prefer to use the setting matte presentation paper. That gives me the best quality. If I leave the setting set at standard or plain paper, I don't know. I mean, it looks okay, but it just looks so much crisper and cleaner when I put premium paper on there. So, or presentation paper, sorry. So again, just play around with your settings. Also, I personally print all of my designs directly from Photoshop because it does help for the color to be more true. That's another thing, is that it might not always print exactly as you want it. The biggest example I have of that is the color teal or aqua. That color is never going to come out the way it looks on your computer unless you have like this super amazing program and super amazing printer. My wide format printer that I have does occasionally get really close to it, and Photoshop helps. Printing from Photoshop helps, but it's still not always perfect. It comes off looking more blue than it does this nice aqua, you know, turquoise color. So you're just gonna have to play around with it. Now, if you're gonna use brochure paper, regular standard printers do use that, do take that, but I just prefer to use my wide format printer because it's, I don't know, it's got better settings, I guess. So for that, for my brochure paper, I always set it to, semi-gloss. Even though my paper is glossy, I set it to semi-gloss. I don't know why. I just like the way it looks. So play around with your settings. If it's glossy, obviously make sure it's somewhere along the glossy range of settings that you're picking. Do not put matte. You're going to notice it looks ugly. And vice versa. If you're using matte paper, do not put glossy. I promise it's going to look oversaturated. It's going to look really wet and heavy and dark. You're not going to like it. So but play around with those settings that kind of semi go with, you know, what paper you're using. And then of course, make sure that you're using, like I said at the beginning, good paper. That way you don't have any blurriness, have any ink transfer, things like that. So hopefully that answered some of your questions. I'm going to go ahead and post the video, the chip bag assembly video somewhere. We'll figure it out. And then if you have any questions, like I said, I answered questions on my group on Facebook, but you can also find me just my business page on Facebook, which is Adriana's Paper Crafts. You can follow me on Instagram, Adriana's Paper Crafts, or you can go to my website, which is www.adrianaspapercrafts.com. You can shop my site, or you can contact me on there as well. So, yeah, hopefully that taught you guys some stuff. Hopefully I didn't bore you like crazy, and hopefully I didn't forget anything. If I did, comment below and I can help you out, okay? Bye, guys.